Hey, what's up, everybody? It is January 28th. I am at the IMB in Austin, Texas, with Mr. Brian Hale, the one and only.
How you doing, David? Good to see you again.
Doing good. So this will be the first one of the second year. All last year, Brian and I, every month, we did a leadership update. So just kind of unpacking things that are happening in the market. And we're getting to hear what Brian Hale thinks are some of the most important things and what I think are some of the most important things. And let's face it, we are getting a lot of news. Like, news is coming in by the hour. Some of it's noise, most of it's noise, some of it's not noise. And so we're gonna just talk about what we think is not noise, what's most important to thrive. Whether you are an executive of a mortgage lender, an IMB, a bank, or a loan officer, or a producing manager, we're gonna hopefully give you some thoughts on how to win in this market. So Brian, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Well, you know, there's this concept in the military, right, of noise versus signal, right? They're on radar, that kind of thing. You get a lot of chatter, a lot of ground noise that happens that is really all just false stuff, right?
Right.
Not to react to. And then, of course, you get the missile that's flying directly at you. That's the stuff you got to be thinking about, right?
Yeah.
And so,
real quick before we go into military analogies, are you familiar with the OODA loop?
I don't know if I'm familiar with OODA loop. I
think
somebody once explained it to me, but
I'm going to explain it because it's going to be a little add-on to what we talk about. So I think he was a general, but he was the #1 dogfighter pilot in the world. His last name was Boyd, and he was winning, I think it was Vietnam, beating the Russians, and we had a slower maneuvering plane. How was he doing it? And he developed this methodology. OODA loop stands for observe, orient, decide, and act.
Yeah.
And when you think of business, who can observe, like what's the signal, orient, make a decision, and then act?
Right.
Whoever does the OODA loop faster wins.
Yep, exactly. I agree with that.
So what are the signals that we need to OODA loop around?
Yeah, so look, to your point of your opening comments that we're getting, you know, news now like 6 times a day, right, of all different kinds of things everybody's trying to digest. I saw here at the IMB today, we had a session, I didn't get a chance to sit in it, but a session on, you know, what does the election mean to our business and to your company and your business, that kind of thing. So everybody's trying to discern this, and the truth is, you know, look, we've got the Fed decision tomorrow, I think tomorrow. We're going to have Powell's press release, which always tends to move the market, right? People are trying to read the tea leaves, that kind of thing. And all this is important. Look, I follow this stuff intimately. I've been telling my audience on the weekly roadmap, you got to be following things like the weekly new jobless claims, the price of oil, right? All these things that are inflationary indicators, which might have some sense of how the Fed is analyzing data and what they're likely to do going forward. I think that's important. What's more important, in my opinion, is what's really going on in your business today that you can affect. And the problem with our business, and I've said this for years, is probably the 2 most significant variables in our business, interest rates and the regulatory climate, most of us can do nothing about.
Right.
It is what it is, right? You can hope, you can wish, you can bet, you can do whatever. Maybe you can have some impact on the regulatory climate by supporting MORPAC and, you know, some of those kinds of things, a lobbying group for the MBA, but not you personally, or as an originator, you personally can't make the law change, right?
Right.
So the 2 biggest variables that are going to affect your success, you have no control over. Now, that puts the next things that you can control to be very important. Your effort, your sophistication, you're using data to identify and decide how you're going to do your marketing, embracing social media and understanding how to be more effective at it. You and I have talked about this. I had you and Jeremy Forcier on a call on the weekly roadmap talking about, you want to make more money? Close more of the leads you're already getting before you go hunting for more leads. I'm a believer in hunting for more leads. I'm a believer in prospecting every day and trying to find new referral sources every day. But if you really want to focus in, you got all this noise, you got the election, you got politics, you got tariffs, no tariffs, you got deportation, no deportation, what's the impact on home building and all these things. It's not noise in that these are all important topics, but they're not yet decided, and the outcomes particularly are not yet understood.
Right.
So now, what do you do today? How do you execute today if you're a producing branch manager or a non-producing branch manager or a sales rep? And I still think it comes back to, who are you calling on? How are you identifying the top of your funnel, your referral sources? be it realtors, builders, social media, other strategies, financial planners, whatever you're doing, what are you doing to better understand their business and to bring true value to them, right, in the process? Using tools that, you know, MortgageCoach has had for years, doing those kinds of things. Getting better as an athlete, as a mortgage athlete, as a professional, honing your skills, being more knowledgeable, being able to add more value to your consumers, to your leads, to your referral sources, and those kinds of things. And look, I'm not here, you know, hawking anybody's business. I just had lunch with Jeff Walton from Ingenious.
Great man.
Talking about data, using data. And I was telling him, look, if I was running a sales force today, and I ran a sales force of 12,000 folks, and I've run some really big sales forces through the years, I don't know how many middle managers I would have, but I would have an army of financial analysts.
Yeah.
Using that data, using, whether it's Ingenious, there's 4 or 5 vendors out there that all provide various types of that data. You can today, when I was an originator, I realized it was a long time ago, it was poke and hope. I had to go out, I had to market, you know, there's an old saying, right, boiling the ocean to find 2 fish, right? It's very expensive to do that. I'd go out and work with a bunch of realtors trying to figure out who the hell actually sells real estate. Because I had a great piece of advice early in my career. The guy that taught me how to be a mortgage salesperson said, here's a hint, call on people who actually sell a lot of real estate as opposed to people who are in real estate. Big diff.
Yeah, big
and
difference.
if you can't discern the difference between A and B, you're going to spend a lot of money, a lot of time, you're going to be very frustrated in your business, and you're not going to advance. So today you have these systems where you can identify not only what are the realtors in your market that are doing business, where it's going, what's their average sales price, all those kinds of things. So when you show up, you could be much more armed in terms of what strategies and tools you have to help them convert more leads, making them more money, thereby making you more money, and obviously endearing yourself to those referral sources, right? So when I think about signal and noise, I translate it to what are the things that I can control, do better, become better at. When you and Jeremy were on our call that day, and Jeremy was talking about some very specific scripts that he has so hardwired in his head, he almost, my interpretation, he doesn't have to think about it. Right? He like pushes a button on the side of his head, and the script comes out, right? Why? Because he's found that it works, first of all. He's practiced it over and over and over again. And so my message to originators is, have you practiced enough? Are you a good enough mortgage athlete? And can you discern noise from signal? Noise is all this other stuff that's going on that you can't control. Signal is leads coming at you, opportunities to grow your referral sources, opportunities to grow the top of your funnel. What are you doing? How are you analyzing? That day on the pick on Jeremy, we just had it with Shant Bonosian, right? I asked Shant what his conversion rate was. He started rattling off a series of metrics, right? And he knew the math down to the decimal point on every single one of these. This is a guy doing more loans than anybody in the industry.
He hit $1 billion, guys. He hit $1 billion.
He had one loan over $1 billion this year.
One loan
over $1 billion, right?
One loan over $1 billion. Not even a whole loan.
He's got, you know, everybody look, oh, he's got this big team. Yes, he has this big team, but there was a day in his life, he said the first year in the business, he did $9 million.
Yeah.
He didn't fall out of bed doing $1 billion.
No.
He built it through a series of disciplines and strategies, and then once he found what worked, wash, rinse, and repeat, right? Over and over, and he works his ass off, right? So there's another hint.
Yeah, so I got a call from Shayla Gifford, truly one of America's most successful mortgage professionals. Actually, I didn't get a call, I got a text. And it was, Dave, call me when you have 2 minutes. It'll be real quick. And I'm just like,
Love that.
So I called her. Of course you're gonna call Shayla, and it's gonna be 2 minutes, it's gonna be real quick. And she goes on to tell me that today I have a goal to talk to 100 people, and I'm gonna ask 2 questions. And the first one is, who can you refer to me, Dave? Like, so she calls me up, who can you refer me to? And you know, I needed a minute, like, well, what do you mean? Well, someone that I can add value to, someone that might need my help. And I started thinking, okay, Shayla, I know someone I can refer to you. And the next thing she goes, what can I do to help you? And I quickly like, well, you could do this, you could do this. And she's like, done, do both of them. Guys, it was no longer than a 3-minute conversation. And her goal that day was to talk to, I didn't say call 100 people, 100 talk tos. And she had built a call list of about 250 people. So I got off that call and I was just like, first of all, that's leading by example.
Yes.
First of all, think about the value she created for herself. Think about the value she created for her team. So I wrote a post last Monday, guys, I'm going to do it myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm not too big time to build a call list of 250 people and have 100 conversations. So this Thursday, I don't know what day this will be posted, but February 3rd, I think it is. I've got a call list of 200 people, and I'm gonna call. Well, I don't know how many people I'm gonna call. I'm gonna talk to 100 people. I'm gonna give myself 12 hours to do it. I'm gonna start at 6 in the morning, maybe 5. Hit the East Coast.
I was gonna say, I'd encourage you to do that on the East Coast first.
Yeah, I'll do it on the East Coast first. I won't hit you at that morning.
That's all right. I'm up. I'm in the gym. Call me.
But here's my push to every manager who's listening to this. First of all, join me. You don't have to join me on that day, but build a call list. Have 100 conversations. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to build your calluses of reaching out, talking to people, having conversations. 2, I lead a team, so I am not doing all the individual selling, but I'm going to get a lot of leads for my team. I'm going to inspire them. I'm going to push them. So I would push you guys to do the same thing. Now, one last part of the story. I was talking to Sean a couple days ago. I think it was the day before you interviewed him. And we were just catching up on a bunch of different stuff. And he's like, you know what? I think I do that every day. And I was like, Sean, I didn't say 100 dials. I said 100 talk-tos. He's like, no, Dave, how do you think I do the volume that I did? And I'm like, Sean, 100 talk-tos. And he's like, well, I know that there are a lot of days in a month where I do it, and I'm pretty sure I get pretty close all the time. So guys, the number 1 loan officer in America is doing $1 billion a year. He's talking to a whole lot of people, and that's not noise. That's something you control, right. and so that is what we need to do in this
Can
market.
I make a comment on that? Because first of all, it's a brilliant strategy. Not shocking that it came from Shayla and/or you're smart enough to replicate it, right?
Yeah, it's called the Hammer 100 though, so she got the idea from someone else.
Right, exactly, right. But my point is, you find people that do it well and copy them.
Yeah.
The story of my career. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Right? I'm not nearly smart enough to figure all this out on my own. Right? And so 1, great strategy. 2,
You gonna join me? 100 talk-tos in a single day?
I hope I'm like the 3rd or 4th call. 3,
No, you will be.
You may have missed a little bit with Shayla just saying, well, what you could probably do is call my friend Brian Hale and be on the weekly roadmap, but that's a separate issue. I
didn't think that quick. Do you want to get Shayla on there?
I'd love to have her.
I'll make a note.
I think
Introduction coming.
A talent and a half, right?
Yeah.
And so, look, I think the other comment I would make in that is what you find of the people that are really being successful today, and I'm out in a lot of companies as an advisor, and I've been working on some M&A deals. I've got some new M&A clients. The people who are being successful have ramped up their effort given the fact that the market is incredibly difficult right now. And I'm not here to be a downer, Debbie Downer on this thing and depress people, oh, the market's bad. Well, look, the market is difficult. Let's be honest, right? Mm-hmm. Since the Fed made its first move in September, we've lost 100 basis points in rate, right? So we're up a lot. We got a little rush yesterday because of this Chinese AI thing or whatever, and money flowing out of the stock market into the bond market. That's noise. That's noise.
It's noise.
That's noise, right? Didn't change the industry at all, right?
No fundamental change in the marketplace.
And so you can focus on that, or you can focus and pick a day and do 100 calls. And by the way, the other thing I was just going to say to that is I'm going to bet that by the time Shayla gets to about her 25th call, and she probably already has this anyway, but she has this shtick, the pitch down, pretty smooth.
Probably by her 15th call.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's the old story of Larry Bird shooting 1,000 jump shots a day in the off season, right? Even while he was playing for the Celtics, to go out and get the muscle memory. Yeah. You would build muscle memory if you went out and did the Hammer 100.
The Hammer 100. So guys, who's going to join us? Put it down below. All right. So one more thought. I every Tuesday, today's Tuesday, I interview a top producing mortgage professional, and today it was Stephanie Johnston out of Dallas, Texas. And she got in a fight with cancer, overcame it last year. She was on, I can't remember if she said she closed 70 million. She just worked through it. I mean, guys, I'll put a link to the interview down below. It was amazing. Guys, she did $100 million in 2024. Okay. So she's doing monster business, beat cancer in a year, and I was breaking down, like, what's your strategy? Where are you getting your business? Well, she's like, I've always done my database really well, and how I use my database helps me with realtors, and that's always been my foundation to my business. And she goes, but last year, in order to get to this 100 million, I started going after builders. So in an 8-month period of 2024, she added about $30 million in builder business. So that's another thing that I think everybody needs to start doing is like, first of all, make your database your number one priority. And if you listen to this interview, you'll hear how she does it. You'll hear how she made a case for that. Not enough referral-based mortgage professionals. They make hunting realtors, chasing new relationships, their number one priority.
All important.
All important, and you can't grow. And she couldn't have done 100 million without being on the offense and being a hunter.
Right.
But she wouldn't have been as effective at being a hunter if she didn't make her database number one. That helped her get realtors. And then she shared her strategy of how she's winning with builders. And part of it was how she's managing her database and driving conversion. She had a whole story there. And it's also this realtor database that she had that she could make a case with these builders that I'm going to help you sell more homes. Like, one, I'm going to close loans on time. She was able to make that case. And two, I'm going to help you sell more homes because of her realtor database. So what's your strategy? Like it's a tough time in the marketplace. How are you going to grow in this market? Have a strategy.
Look, I couldn't agree more. Look, my dad was a carpenter / home builder, and I came from an area where you have a basement. So you start by pouring the foundation and you lay the first block. And then you start laying more blocks on top of it. That's really what you just described as a strategy, right? She's using a base of a strategy that's like the nuclear engine of her submarine, and she's adding additional pieces nonstop with a plan, and I suspect a fair amount of discipline to focus on and get good. And I'm going to guess she got thrown out of maybe the first or two builders that she called on.
Oh yeah.
And then you learn and you come back and you reorientate and you come back in with another pitch, right, in the process. And so again, this concept of signal and noise, she's focused on the signals. She's focused on the important things. How do I go get more referral sources? I'm good at what I do. I can be better. I can continue to build building blocks. And she's focused on that, I suspect, as opposed to more than trying to figure out what Chairman Powell said in his last news conference. Right?
No doubt. So if anybody wants to, hear that interview with Shop Madoshian, learn more about the weekly roadmap, where do they go?
Go to weekly, WKLY, weeklyroadmap.com, or you can go to my website, mortgageap.com. They're all out there. Or you can dial in, you can look on my LinkedIn, because we post right now, it's free. So we post the link to the weekly roadmap on my LinkedIn account. Every week, you can go up, click in, see if you like it, listen to it for a couple of weeks. If you don't like it, I got it. We try to give you massive amounts of data and market updates so you do understand and you can educate your clients on the kinds of things that are moving the market. And then we bring great folks like Jeremy or Sean Turrell, yourself, Todd Duncan, others in to the market or into the call to give their perspective. And so we try to give you a broad perspective, more so than you're just getting from your own company. And that's not knocking anybody's company, just trying to broaden out your perspective on what's going on in the business and really specific tactics about how to grow your business.
And guys, this is a leadership market. And Brian Hale is truly one of the greatest leaders in the history of this business. Back in the day with Countrywide, he was the head of production. He knows how to lead a sales meeting. He knows how important it is to bring leadership to a sales meeting. So if there's no other reason to go sign up, check it out, it's like watch a legend conduct a sales meeting. I mean, that is what the weekly roadmap is. It's the second best sales meeting to my meeting.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's one of the best sales meetings put on every single week in the industry.
9 a.m. Pacific every Friday.
Every Friday. Heck, it competes with my Friday Mastermind, and I still support it because I think I'm all about industry first. Right. Is this partnership going to make the industry better?
By the way, you can go on Dave's call.
And you can watch it on.
And because it's recorded and we have a community site and an app that goes on your phone, whether it's an Apple phone or an Android phone, you can get all that data and then listen to it or watch it as a podcast. And we do a 25-page deck that we give you for free every Friday to break up and use with your clients, your referral sources, whatever, to help you.
It's awesome. So, it is a great example of a sales meeting. Any closing thoughts? Anything else we want to make sure people know between now and whenever we do this in February?
Yeah, I'm going to give a little negative and then a little positive.
Okay.
How's that? So the negative is I still think that the first half of 2025 is going to be as difficult, maybe even potentially more difficult than 2024. How's that for the negative side? Okay?
We'll take it. If we're going to make 100 talk-tos a day, we'll get through it.
That's what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
The question is not where is the market, whether it's better or worse.
Make the market.
What are you doing to weight against in case it's worse. By the way, if it's better and you still do the 100 talk tos, way ahead, right? You're still getting huge value out of that process. But as a hedge against a worse market, maybe it's 200 talk tos, right? Maybe it's talk tos on Saturdays.
I don't know if you could do 200 talk tos.
I don't know if you either.
I didn't even know you could do 100 talk tos in a day. I thought, like, when Shayla told me, I'm like, 100 talk tos? I don't think I had heard of the Hammer 100 before.
By the way, when I did it as an originator, I don't know that I thought about it as 100. I had an assistant who used to dial the phone for me.
Yeah, dialer.
And I had 2 phones.
Yeah.
And I'd literally go from one phone to the X, right? So I didn't have to waste time with, what's the number, right? You know, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how you get 100 talk tos. But that's so that's the downside, right? Look, there's a bunch of stuff going on. I talk about signal to noise. Well, let me give you a little bit of the noise. The noise is that our deficit is up. The Treasury is issuing record levels of notes and bonds. So there's an oversupply of bonds in the market, and Treasury notes and bonds always attract money before mortgage-backed notes and bonds do, right? So we've got this pressure. Nobody really knows, and I'm not here to talk politics, nobody knows how the outcomes of the new administration's policies are going to really affect the business, whether it's inflationary or not. But there's enough nervousness that right now the spread between the 30-year fixed and the 10-year Treasury is at a record high, over 300 basis points. Normally it's 150 basis points to maybe 175. If that spread was normalized, you'd be in the low sixes today. How much better would the market be in the low sixes? It can collapse, it can come back down, but what needs to be in market is predictability, right? People need to have, the bond buyers need to have a sense of what's going to happen here. And until we get that clarity, I think we're going to have a very significant struggle on interest rates. Here's the upside. Those who do the kinds of things that Shayla talked about and that Shant talked about and this other person talked about, I think are going to win in this market. And the positive is listings are up, right? A year and a half ago when you and I started these things, one of the biggest challenge was there was nothing to buy, right? Listings are up massively. The home builders are delivering. They're building tons of houses, right, in the process. So I think about her building her builder business, right? So listings are up. I think people are normalizing to interest rates. I think people are getting a little more used to it. And you and I have talked about this. First house I bought was 15.5%, right? So people become normalized to the interest rates. That's a positive. And the demographics of the buyer community, the young people who are forming families, having kids, even though they're later at it than my generation, the reality is that once they get married and have a kid, they want to buy a house in a good school district. No different than every other generation.
So lots of opportunity.
So you've got this huge tsunami of demand coming at you, and rates will break. This fever will break at some point. So if you've done all these things that you've talked about, and you've honed your craft, and you're a better professional, and you're more skilled, you have an opportunity to really take share.
So here's the closing thought, guys. Good times are coming. There's never been more equity in America. For not everybody, but for mortgage advisors, people that know how to help people solve problems. Still, rates are never going to 2, 3, probably not 4s, again, maybe high 4s at some point. So there's all these people that need help getting clarity. Should I sell and move up? Should I sell and move sideways? Should I take equity out of my house? How do I buy before I sell? Like, what are the creative ways that I can buy before I sell?
How do I debt console now?
How do I save money in debt console? So all these things are opportunities. So to the modern mortgage advisors, people that use our technology, people that learn from Brian, good times are coming. And in the meantime, tough times make great people. So embrace a difficult market, get good at delivering value and advice and solving problems, and build your calluses. Like, let's talk to more people. Let's be more thoughtful about the people who we do talk to, making sure that we're using data to making data-driven calls. Brother, you ready to wrap it?
I am. Thank you, man.
We're going to get back to Austin here. Hopefully you're getting value from this. If you have questions for Brian, put them down below in comments. If you are not already subscribing to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe. If you are not subscribing to Savage Insights, you can go to savageinsights.com. I do a text a couple times a week. If you want to become a modern mortgage advisor, subscribe and I will push information to you. If you don't, then don't subscribe. And again, if you have not been through the weekly roadmap, it's a must do. Like you said, it's free to sign up.
He's interviewing. Free to sign up. You get it every week. You get a newsletter as well. It mostly focuses on what's going on in the market, kind of explain the moves, those kinds of things. Comes out every Friday. And so I encourage you to do it. Plus, everything that we've done historically is up in the community site that you can draw down and watch as many times as you want to watch.
All right, guys. Hopefully you got value from this. Take care. This is a wrap.